Tonight is event is all about Kobe. Do you remember the very first time you actually laid eyes on Kobe when he was in the NBA?
Well, it was with the Lakers. I was not a part of the Lakers at that time. It was a year away from becoming a Laker, and a lot was documented about this 17-year-old kid coming into the league. I think in that stage in the NBA, there was very few, really a lot of talk about guys being able to leap from high school to the pros, but very few actually being able to leave an impression, enough of an impression to actually be successful in that leap. Kobe was one of those. The trade from by Jerry West to get him for Vlade Divac on that Charlotte Hornet draft pick, at the time did not create earth-shattering news, but because it was Jerry West, caught my attention. I wondered what Jerry saw in this young man that would, allow him to feel comfortable enough to let their star center that was just the year before in the NBA Finals. So I thought that was a pretty aggressive, interesting move, and so I watched at times. He didn't get a ton of minutes, but my first lasting impression was the Utah game in the playoffs, where he so confidently fired away a number of times, not just once and twice, but and didn't stop. And and that caught my eye again, whereas I saw a young man pretty determined to take those shots, whether they went in or not. Usually, after they don't go in the first time, most people run away. But he just was not about to be denied, and I think that set the stage for obviously a long summer of work, but then a long career. When we look back and see how he was not going to be denied being one of the greatest to ever play.
You mentioned the long summer of work. He really seemed to thrive on the work. You remember anything memorable in practices? It seemed like he didn't know how to slow down. He was always,
Yeah, I had to guard him. Yeah, I had to guard him. So there was no slowdown. And I wasn't particularly young when I first ran into Kobe Bryant. I was ahead of him, and I was a roadblock to his career. At that small forward position, Eddie Jones was at the two-guard position, and he was going to break through one way or the other. And so every day at practice, every time I laced him up, across from me was this young man who I was standing in his way, and Eddie was standing in his way, and he knew he had a lot to offer the game. He knew he had a lot to offer the Lakers in general, and he was hell-bent on getting what he felt he deserved to have, and that was a starting job and some responsibility, some minutes, and he eventually got him. And it didn't stop there, because we played 8 years together, and every year after that, didn't matter where he was on the floor, what side, whether we were on the same team together. His attention to detail and his relentlessness and his hunger, all of those things led the way every time he walked through a practice door, every time he walked and showed up to Staples Center. You knew you were getting you better bring your energy and your effort, because it was going to be difficult to match his, but he was going to hold you accountable to at least trying.
You mentioned the attention to detail. Do you have a specific instance that really sticks out in your mind as being a good illustration of that?
Well, yeah, it has nothing to do with basketball, but it's close to my heart, because it's an example recently of with my daughter at NBA All-Star Weekend. I was not in the stands, but he saw her as he was leaving the arena after his last NBA All-Star game, and he spotted her and came over and said hello and made her day, and she was having a horrible day. A horrible day. Social media, her friends were having a party back home and all this stuff, and she just said, "Dad, Kobe saw me, and he came over and he said hi and he talked to me. He remembered my name." And just as a father, watching her, after knowing she was having the day she was having, turn her whole day around.
How long had it been since Kobe had seen her?
I hadn't seen her in years, and she'd changed, but that means everything in the world to me. But yeah, that's just an example off the court. On the court, geez, there's look, there's hundreds of those stories, and I can go dig those up all day long. But yeah, the ones that mean most to me are the ones off the court.